On the touch panel, set the mode to unprinted roll. Install the label roll onto the mandrel. Push it in until it stops and tighten the mandrel. Make sure the roll will unwind clockwise. Start to feed the material. The stock will go above the two bottom bars and over the bars above the roll. Thread the material through the unwind side of the press. Refer to the unwinder module diagram, path A, for the correct routing. Next, thread the material through the rewind side of the press. Refer to the rewinder module diagram for the correct routing. The slitter assembly will need to be in the raised position. Install an empty core on the rewind mandrel. The top or bottom mandrel can be used. Tighten the mandrel and tape the material to the empty core. Turn on the mandrel tension sensor. With the stock threaded through the press, verify the position of the stock going through the web guide. With the two arrows button pressed, adjust the stock position until the sensor value reads very close to 0. Then press the top circle button. With the material threaded through the press, turn on the unwind or tension sensor. Before installing the die, we need to measure for the repeat value. If you know this value, you can proceed with die installation. Using a non-metal ruler, measure the distance from the bottom of the last cavity to the bottom of one of the alignment slots. This is the die plate length value that will be entered into the software. It is important not to damage the edge of any of the cavities. With the pressure dial set to 0, rotate the cylinder and locate the guide pins. Line up the slots in the flexible die with the guide pins on the magnetic cylinder. Confirm the guide pins are centered, top to bottom, in the die slots. Rotate the magnetic cylinder to attach the die. Replace the protective cover. Turn the handles clockwise to set die pressure. Turn the handles together to apply even pressure. The default pressure value is 15 bar. On the touch panel, you can set the speed of the press by pressing one of the 4 options. Enter the die plate length, or repeat, of the die you are working with. Select the question mark box to bring up a diagram of how to measure this distance. Enter that value using the number keypad on the display. Enter the gap distance between the die cuts. You can use the plus and minus buttons or enter the value using the number keypad. Under the Copies section, you can select Unlimited or Preset Quantity. Unlimited will continue cutting until you press pause or stop on the touch panel. The number of copies will be shown in the box. When Preset Quantity is selected, you can enter in the number of cuts that will be completed. Once that number is reached, the press will stop. Once all of this information is entered, press the green Start button. After a few labels are cut, press pause on the touch panel. Install an empty core on the waste take-up mandrel and tighten the mandrel. To remove the waste, separate the matrix from the stock. Pull up the matrix. Turn on the waste take-up mandrel sensor. Resume the job using the front panel and attach the stock to the empty core. Lower the waste compressor arm. After a few labels are cut, pause the job. Adjust the slitter blades to trim the extra liner on the sides of the label. Once the trimmed material is on the rewind mandrel, pause the job. Turn off the rewind mandrel tension sensor and separate the trimmed edges. Turn the sensor back on. Holding the ends of the trimmed liner, resume the job and feed the material into the waste take-up. Once the edges are going onto the waste core, pause the job. Cut the stock and remove the core from the rewind mandrel. Install an empty core and align the core to the stock. Tighten the mandrel. Secure the stock to the empty core and turn on the rewind tension sensor. Resume the job. Finished labels will now be rewound onto the new core.